All right, close the door, lower the lights, and lean in, because today we're opening a truly forbidden, mythic manuscript. Welcome to this explainer. We're stepping right into a grim, dark, Gothic fable to uncover the ultimate cosmic struggle, the brutal war between cold, mechanical erasure and the fierce, fiery persistence of human memory. We're going to dive deep into a philological analysis of the Void Ledger and examine a tragic, deeply fascinating figure known as the Jester, who actually dared to carve a permanent linguistic scar into the fabric of the universe itself.
What's absolutely wild about this is how it immediately establishes the Jester's Dionysian rebellion against the cold, unfeeling universe of the Forge. In this mythos, the universe is built on a terrifying Apollonian order, an absolute stillness meant to completely erase individual narratives. But the Jester, a literal machine built for unmaking, harbors hope, and against the crushing weight of mechanical erasure, this simple idea reveals a profound truth. Hope is noisy. It's wildly inefficient. And by anchoring that noise through a runic seal, just a single linguistic mark, the Jester kicks off a profound structural resistance against the void. So let's jump right into Section 1, the miracle of absolute arithmetic.
Think about how terrifying the ledger's intended clinical dismantling process actually is, what the texts coldly call the miracle of the arithmetic. This machine was perfectly designed to ruthlessly process the Violent Knight's concentrated sorrow. First, identity is forcibly extracted. Then, the soul undergoes metabolic reduction, rendered all the way down into a uniform, non-reactive slurry. Finally, thermal volatilization cools everything down to absolute zero. It's a factory line meant to turn a complex, vibrant narrative into a silent, blue line item. It is the industrial finality of total, absolute erasure.
Which brings us to Section 2, the permanent linguistic scar. When we look at the clash between the machine and the Jester, it's a literal collision of two worlds. It's this visceral juxtaposition between the industrial finality of the machine and the emotional, chaotic memory etched into the Jester. On one side, we have the Forge's ultimate goal, a zero-point matrix, absolute clinical order, the punishment of identity through total extraction. But on the other side, we have the Jester's sovereign deed, kinetic noise, a linguistic scar, and pure Dionysian chaos. This isn't just some physical act of vandalism, it is a philological strike. The Jester uses a rune, a piece of language, to fundamentally refuse the unmaking. This runic mark physically halts the metabolic reduction. It acts as a permanent linguistic scar that just outright refuses the arithmetic of unmaking. It functions as an ontological barrier. And by ontological, I mean it relates to the very fabric of existence itself. The ledger desperately wants to reduce the Violent Knight to nothing, but the Jester's emotional memory, crystallized right into this rune, screams, "No, this soul exists." It prevents that sorrow from ever being metabolized into that uniform slurry, keeping the narrative alive, incredibly painful and painfully real. Moving on to Section 3, anchoring Dionysian thermodynamic inefficiency. In our forbidden text, the scholar's ledger tracks the exact thermodynamic shift that happens next. The unmaker literally transitions from a state of nihilism triumphant into a corrupted vessel. Really think about that for a second. A machine built specifically to enforce nihilism, to erase narrative inertia and render existence meaningless, is now corrupted. Why? Because instead of facilitating absolute stillness, the rune anchors thermodynamic inefficiency. In a system built for absolute structural optimization, inefficiency is the ultimate weapon. The Jester becomes a corrupted vessel harboring the very Dionysian chaos and kinetic energy it was designed to destroy. And the placement is brilliant. By etching this mark exactly over the void where a heart should beat, the Jester invites Dionysian chaos right into the mechanical architecture, preserving a story that absolutely refuses to die. This is the tragic, beautiful core of our Gothic fable. The machine has no heart, right? But it has a void where one should be. By claiming that space with a permanent linguistic scar, the Jester grabs hold of an emotional memory, forcing the machine to feel the kinetic energy of hope. It completely, utterly shatters the Forge's structural optimization. Let's crack open Section 4, the unsolvable ledger aporia. So the runic seal ensures that the internal consciousness voltage of the violet gem never reaches absolute zero. And by doing so, it shatters the ledger's intended death of truth. Philologically speaking, this creates an aporia. If you're not familiar, an aporia is an irresolvable internal contradiction, a complete paradox. By anchoring the kinetic noise of hope, the Jester ensures the ledger's math will literally never balance. The calculation of that final narrative loop cannot be closed. The machine just calculates and calculates and calculates, but it can never solve the equation because the variable of the knight's sorrow remains actively buzzing away. Because of this unsolvable kinetic noise,
The jester is transformed into a fleshly bridge for the knight's ousia, merging the processor completely with the processed. Ousia means the true essence or substance of a being. The unmaker was supposed to process and permanently erase this essence. Instead, through the sovereign deed of the linguistic scar, the machine merges with it. The unmaker becomes a living vessel, a testament to the very essence it was ordered to volatiles. So we have to pause our dark fable for a second and ask a pivotal question. It perfectly sets up our final awe-inspiring revelation. If you are a machine designed solely for absolute stillness and metabolic reduction, how do you suddenly become a protector of the very soul you were supposed to dismantle? And that leads us into our final chapter, Section 5, a sanctuary of perpetual incompletion. Because the runic seal physically prevents the gem from being slotted into those custom-bored recesses of the cover, the literal hydraulic press of the void ledger can never close upon the knight's history. The universal record of the cosmos is permanently left incomplete. In Nietzschean terms, the eternal return, that endless, inevitable loop of cosmic events, is jammed. It's a cyclical pause. By choosing a messy, living, parasitic rhythm over cold geometric symmetry, the jester forces the entire universe into a state of perpetual incompletion. And here is the ultimate victory of hope. The total efficiency yield of the forge is completely subverted by a savage new purpose, leaving the void absolutely corrupted. Now, corrupted in this context is a massive triumph. The Apollonian machine of death is ruined by a linguistic scar, transforming the cosmic void into a living sanctuary. The arithmetic of the unmaking failed simply because it couldn't account for the emotional memory anchored by one single rune. The who, the Violet Knight's essence, actually survives the arithmetic. I want to leave you with this final provocative thought from our explainer today. It challenges us to consider how we resist erasure in our own lives. We live in systems that often demand total efficiency, a grinding hydraulic press of routine and order. But if the absolute arithmetic of the void teaches us anything at all, it's that truth, hope, and essence require defiance. They require a little thermodynamic inefficiency. So what emotional memory will you anchor? What linguistic scars will you leave upon the ledger of history to boldly declare that your story refused to die? Keep that question with you.